Welcome back to the channel, everyone, as I begin an adventure through Canada's maritime provinces. This beautiful region on the east coast of Canada consists of 4 provinces: Newfoundland and Labrador, New Brunswick, Prince Edward Island, and of course Nova Scotia. I'll be traveling through the region and showcasing the unique charm, natural beauty, and cultural experiences found in these provinces. For this trip though, the mode of transport will not be by airplane, rather by car, SUV. Since many of the sites on the east coast that we'll be traveling to are 200 to 300 kilometers from each other, it makes more sense to drive and experience the scenery rather than take multiple, very short airplane trips. It's also cost effective, as my SUV is a diesel and gives me excellent mileage on the highway. We start off in Toronto in the early morning for our first leg of the journey. It was a cloudy morning with bouts of scattered showers, which made the drive interesting. Edmundston is roughly 1,000 kilometers from Toronto, and if driving non-stop, it would take approximately 10 to 10 and a half hours to get there. The initial part of our drive will take us up the 401 highway, past the eastern suburbs of Toronto, and continue northeast, hugging the north shore of the mighty St. Lawrence River. The St. Lawrence River is a significant natural and cultural feature of North America. It begins in Lake Ontario and flows for over 1,000 kilometers before dumping into the Gulf of St. Lawrence and subsequently the Atlantic Ocean. It is a major shipping route for goods, allowing access to the middle of North America. Along the way, we pass towns of Port Hope, Cobourg, Belleville, Kingston, and finally Cornwall before crossing into the province of Quebec. Just before we reach Montreal, we stopped for lunch and filled up diesel. Trying to cut through Montreal is rough at the best of times, with its pothole-covered roads that are terrible on a car suspension, and the tremendous amount of construction and road repair that always seems to plague the city. Montreal is a great place to visit, but driving there, no thanks. In order to avoid Montreal traffic and roads, we crossed the St. Lawrence River and drove through the South Shore suburbs of Montreal like Brossard and Longueuil. The terrain begins to get hilly after Quebec City as we enter the northern portion of the Appalachian Mountain range. At Rivière-du-Loup, the highway makes a 90-degree turn and we head southeast to the border of New Brunswick and the town of Edmundston. We reached Edmundston about 12 and a half hours after we departed from Toronto, so we grabbed a quick dinner and headed to our hotel for some much-needed sleep. After a restful sleep, we woke up to a foggy morning in the Appalachian uplands. I had an 8-hour drive ahead of me, and we continued to experience bouts of showers as we headed towards Nova Scotia through the hilly terrain. The Appalachian Mountains were originally formed back in the Precambrian era, more than 500 million years ago. They've been eroding slowly ever since, and now in 2023, we're just left with these hills. We reached the Nova Scotia border and pulled into the visitor center to stretch our legs. The center was quite nice, with lots of material for tourists, etc., and looks out over the western end of the Bay of Fundy. If you're new here, do you love aviation, photography, or traveling? If so, you're at the right place. Check out my channel for trip reports and travel vlogs, and hit the like and subscribe buttons if you enjoy the content. We finally arrived in Halifax around 3 p.m. and immediately went to our hotel in Dartmouth to relax a bit before heading across the McCabe Bridge and the Halifax Waterfront. Halifax, the capital of Nova Scotia, is a city brimming with history, culture, and maritime charm. One of its most iconic and beloved spots is the Halifax Waterfront, a bustling area that stretches along the waterfront of the city's harbor and is filled with picturesque views, delicious eats, and memorable experiences. the Halifax Waterfront, we set off for a leisurely stroll. The waterfront boardwalk was alive with activity from buskers entertaining the crowd to locals enjoying the fresh sea breeze. No trip to Halifax is complete without indulging in its famous seafood, so we stopped at the Sea Smoke restaurant and bar for dinner. I was not really looking for something too heavy, as I had been sitting and driving for the better part of 2 days, but I indulged in some delicious sushi and maki rolls. After dinner, some more strolling along the waterfront before finishing off the day with some of Cow's famous ice cream. If you're ever in the east coast of Canada, this is a must-visit spot for some of the most delicious ice cream in the world. My favorite is caramel macchiato. Day 2 started off with heavy rain, and we thought the whole day would be lost. But thankfully, the rain stopped and we were able to salvage the day. Our first stop was the Maritime Museum of the Atlantic. The Maritime Museum of the Atlantic is located right on the Halifax Waterfront, central location, and it offers a fascinating exploration of the maritime history of the region. The museum is divided into smaller galleries with specific areas of focus, such as the Age of Sail, which features sailing ships that played a crucial role in the region's history, the Small Craft Gallery with its impressive collection of small boats and watercraft, highlighting their importance in Nova Scotia's maritime culture, especially fishing, and then the Age of Steam Gallery, which focuses on the era when steam-powered ships revolutionized transportation and trade. But the most popular is the Shipwrecked Treasures and the Titanic Exhibit, which features artifacts recovered from shipwrecks along the coast of Nova Scotia, including items from the famous Titanic disaster. This is a must-see and the busiest part of the museum, well worth the visit. After grabbing a hearty fish and chips lunch, we headed up to the Halifax Citadel, also known as the Halifax Citadel National Historic Site. This is a historic military fort located at the highest point in the center of Halifax. We had planned to take the guided tour. That included demonstrations and reenactments of historical events, such as military drills or musket firings, and that provides a vivid sense of the past. Unfortunately, however, storm clouds rolled in, and due to the threat of lightning strikes, the guided tours were cancelled. We were able to climb up and walk along the fort's ramparts. These offer absolutely panoramic views of the city of Halifax and its harbor, the Mackay Bridge, the McDonald Bridge, and it's a great place for taking photos and appreciating the strategic importance of the Citadel. After some time, the weather cleared, and we spent the early evening walking around downtown Halifax to the Grand Parade. The Grand Parade is a historic square located in downtown Halifax. It is one of the oldest public squares in North America. The square is surrounded by several historic buildings, including Halifax City Hall, St. Paul's Anglican Church, and the Old Town Clock. These buildings contribute to the architectural charm of the area. The Grand Parade in Halifax is a place of historical and cultural significance, offering a glimpse into the city's past while remaining a vibrant part of its present. After all that walking, we headed to the charming and cozy Blue Nose 2 restaurant. This place has been a staple in Halifax for as long as I can remember. The food was still tasty and a nice end to our busy day.